Hello and welcome to another episode of Two Guys and a Chainsaw. I'm Todd.
And I'm Craig.
Craig, I think 2025 is going to go down as the summer of tributes.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, this is just our excuses for ways to pick movies, because after you've done, close to 500 of these episodes, we just don't know where to begin when we decide what are we going to do next week. So it's real easy when we notice that a person has passed away and be like, oh, do they associate with any horror movies? And sure enough, on September 1st of this month, Scott Spiegel passed away and made bigger news than I would have expected Scott Spiegel to make. You know, I don't think a lot of people know who he is, but he was so instrumental in some of the biggest movies in horror that we've seen, as well as some of the biggest directors that we've seen in Hollywood nowadays.
Right.
He was a childhood friend of Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi. As they were growing up through school, they used to get a Super 8 camera out and shoot lots of silly movies, usually Three Stooges-esque type things where they would run around and be silly. And that is what got Sam Raimi into filmmaking. And it was that crew that got together and made Evil Dead, which we know launched the careers of quite a few people. And they remained friends and cohorts throughout all this. He co-wrote the screenplay, I guess you could say, for Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 2 is the movie that we're going to be talking about today, and it's taken us a while to get to this one just because it is so popular and iconic, and you know how we shy away from those things quite a bit.
Right.
Yeah, Spiegel actually, there are a few things about him I didn't realize. I know that he and Raimi, early on when they got to Hollywood, were close collaborators and friends of Joel and Ethan Coen. They worked on the first movie together. And what I didn't realize is that when they all moved to Los Angeles after that, they were housemates with Holly Hunter, Frances McDormand, and Kathy Bates.
I know.
Crazy, right?
It's always crazy. I know. Yeah, and it's always crazy to me, and these stories fascinate me, and I get jealous because it seems like it happens all the time. These famous people who are all kind of famous at the same time, you find out that they've known each other forever, like since before they were famous, and I just get jealous how cool that is to not only be friends with all of those people, but to have your friendship established even before the fame. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah, and I guess it kind of makes sense, you know, you're all in the same industry, you're all looking to make it big, and so one of you gets successful and you kind of help the other out, and I'm sure that, you know, it's not just a coincidence that these people all kind of turned out to be famous. I'm sure that they helped each other out and made connections.
Sure.
I was surprised to find out that Scott Spiegel introduced producer Loris Bender to Quentin Tarantino.
Right.
Which got him his first movie made, Reservoir Dogs.
Right, because Tarantino had just been like crashing on his couch or something, right?
Yeah. So, you know, even though he's not a name on the top of everybody's head, he has made a serious impact in Hollywood. And as an actor in his own right. You know, he didn't have big roles, usually bit roles in a lot of movies, but like probably 60 or 70 of them. So, you know, I think he was having a good time, and that's why we're doing Evil Dead 2 today. It's just to pay tribute to him, and of course, to cover this movie that we should have covered a long time ago.
I know.
When was the last time you saw this?
Oh, man. I was telling you when we decided to do this that there was a time that I feel like I could have basically, you know, recited the movie or given you a very detailed plot synopsis from beginning to end because I loved it so much, and I watched it a lot, especially in college, but starting when I was a kid, and then I guess I probably haven't seen it in like 15 years. It's been a really long time, so it was kind of cool to go back. What about you?
Oh, God. I think I rewatched it a year or two ago with Liz because she may or may not have seen it. We just wanted to refresh ourselves on it because we had done, the new Evil Dead.
Right.
And it kind of inspired us to go back and watch the originals. But beyond that, yeah, God. Decades, really. I really enjoyed the movie. I don't think I saw it until maybe a late high school or college, but I do remember when I was much younger, there being a whole bunch of series of news pieces on TV about the rise of splatter movies and about how kids who were too young to be seeing these things were renting them and watching them at home. And is this good? Is this ethical? What are the parents thinking? Do they even know what their kids are watching kind of things? And they really focused on this movie. I don't know if it's because it was contemporaneous at the time or it was really popular in video at the time or just because it was an easy target because the gore level in this movie is insane. So insane that it was released unrated.
I know, which is so strange how things change over time because by today's standards, it's silly and cute. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's just a lot of, I guess it's just a lot of blood. They even went out of their way to try to use not red blood, to use different colors and stuff to avoid the X rating. I get it. It is very violent. You know, violence and gore is a big part of the point, but I did see it when I was a kid. I don't know how, and I don't mean little, but probably like adolescent.
Wow.
And I don't remember how I got my hands on it. My dad probably just rented it for me, didn't think anything of it. And I remember really, really liking it, but I remember thinking it was hilarious. Like,
yeah.
So funny.
That's what shocked me about it when I saw it. It's a goofball movie.
Yeah, it's really silly, and it really is a showcase for Bruce Campbell.
Oh my God.
He does so much physicality work in this movie. It's crazy. I don't think a lot of people know how difficult that is, the stuff that he's doing.
Right.
And he does it so well. It's so believable. I'm just so impressed with him. Plus, he's just got excellent comic timing. He's got a great character face. Like, he does so much face work. That's not easy either.
Yeah.
That's a special talent. This is his favorite of the original trilogy, and I get why, because he really gets to showcase his talent in this movie.
It's really all about him, isn't it? I mean, all the movies kind of are, but this one especially, he's just front and center for almost all of it. And I think, you know, when you think about the process of making a movie, this is the thing that kind of kills me, is that shot for shot gets set up. It's not like you just run around with the camera for 10 minutes while this guy does this thing. So not only the physicality, but you have to bring that energy into every shot after you've had a break. I couldn't help but think as I was watching it this time, because I'm so familiar with it, you know, my mind was just wandering all sorts of places. I was thinking, God, he had to begin this shot looking the way he does, out of breath the way he is, with this same energy that he had just with the shot before, knowing that this is probably a totally different day.
Right.
You know, and it flows so well. Like, this guy just gets punished and beaten up and paranoid and insane. And it all happens within the course of a day or less, you know, in this movie. And a night, really, I guess. But the process of making this movie takes months, you know, or weeks. And he really brought the same energy to it the whole time. And boy, does this guy get punished.
Yeah. Well, and I also heard that because it was so physical, he had a physical trainer like on location. He was getting trained all the time.
Makes sense. You would have
to be in good shape to do the stuff that he does in this. You and I have talked about this briefly before. I think it was on a mini-sode. I think we just kind of discussed the Evil Dead universe in general, and we kind of breezed over each of the movies. And I said that basically Evil Dead 2 is a remake of the first one. And you got really mad, and you were like, no, it isn't.
That's right, it isn't. Do you still stand by that, or were you corrected?
I stand corrected, but I can see why people would think that, because the stories are very similar, and Evil Dead 2 is my favorite of all of them, I think. But I think a large part of that is because I saw it first, and I had seen it many times before I saw the first one. And I think this one is better. I mean, it has a bigger budget. They were able to do a lot more with it. So nostalgia probably plays a large part in why I like this one so much. But
to address that, I think what irritated me so much when you said that, I wasn't irritated at you, by the way, but, you know, just in general, that's not the first time I've heard it. A lot of people have said that to me, and I'm like, look, they just needed to catch people up on the original story, because it was kind of this cult movie. And also, they needed to simplify the plot a little bit. You know, the original story had all these people dead and buried in all these places. And it looks like for the sequel, they didn't want the baggage of all that weighing them down. And so they just simplified the original, kind of retconned it, I guess is what you say.
Yeah.
To him and just his girlfriend in the cabin, which I think gives it more focus as well, because now it's just his girlfriend kind of continuing to pop up and cause the trouble, instead of, oh, he also had all these other friends, and there was a certain element of destruction in the cabin that had already been there, and his friends were also kind of buried or dropped and left in other places. And so, you know, this just like allowed them to go in a different direction with the story by starting from a simpler base. It was interesting, as I read later, it seems like there was another reason for that as well.
Right. Just, it was because of rights, right? Like, I think that's another reason why I was maybe initially a little bit confused, and others may have been too, because it feels like a remake in that it's not footage from the first movie.
Right.
It's total reshoots, because I guess they had the right to the characters and things, but they didn't have rights to film from the original, so they had to reshoot everything. So it feels like a remake for the first 7 minutes. It's a great first 7 minutes. I love it.
Yeah, it's a long flashback, I guess you could say. It doesn't.
Yeah, but
it doesn't call itself a flashback. So you're right. It feels like the movie starting.
But it then does continue. It eventually leads up to where the first movie ends, which is the evil presence, whatever it is, like, smashing into Ash or going into him or something. And that's where it picks up. But in between there's also that great Linda footage. Like, that's that's one of my very favorite scenes, is in the catch-up. Like,
no, you're right. And I mean, it's an interesting choice, right? Like, you could have just made this like flashback, You could have said, you could have shot it new, of course, new footage, but it could have been, yesterday I had the most terrible day. My girlfriend and I went to the cabin and did this thing. And, but he really chose to do it as the movie's kind of starting and take time with it, like really take time with it. And like you said, it does lead to some real iconic moments. I love that bit where he's got her head in the vice and they're going back and forth.
I love the, I assume, stop motion corpse ballet.
Like, oh my God.
When she's all decayed, she does a whole ballet dance
routine. They spent some money on that. I mean, it's certainly stop motion, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, and the effects are all practical and everything. Gosh, it's weird to look back at it from so many decades away, removed, because I just remember thinking it was so cool back then. Like, now, I think unless you were talking to a young person who was like a horror fanatic or a horror nerd, if you're just talking about your regular young person today, you would show them this and they would think it was awful. Like, they would just think it was, what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
you think so?
I do, just because it's not
smooth,
shiny and clean. It shows
its age. It shows cracks a little bit.
And when I was a kid and even as a young adult, I didn't care. I understand the context of the time, and I like it, and I appreciate the aesthetic, and I miss it sometimes. I just don't know if it would be appealing to modern audiences. And I don't know. They're still making them. I think there are 2 more coming out sometime.
Yeah.
And they're taking a more modern approach to it. There are definitely like callbacks. Evil Dead Rise had tons of callbacks to both Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, and they were fun. But it's taking a much darker, more modern approach. And it's definitely of its time. You know what I mean?
Well, are you talking about the story? Are you talking about like the
No, I'm talking about the
tone?
Effects. I'm talking about...
Oh, okay, just the effects.
Yeah, the effects.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, it's definitely, I mean, it's really impressive, actually, the amount of money that probably went into this in order to get the effects that they did for the time. I think that the effects show their age the most when they're putting together these matte scenes. Like that scene where he's standing at the bridge and the bridge is broken.
Yeah.
You can tell clearly that's a composite of like 3 or 4 different pieces, and it's not, some of the matte painting is a little cartoony, So, like, things like that. Things like the stop motion, where the stop motion is combined with the live action. It has that look. But, also, I would be curious to know how people watch that today, because obviously I don't have a proper perspective on it because I grew up with movies like this. So, like you said, we have more tolerance for it.
Well, an appreciation for it. I like it.
Oh, yeah, like just the artistry of it, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I can go back and watch like an old King. I still love the original King Kong. I think that's fair. It's lovely, and I think I'm able to put it in its place. So I would hope that maybe not young kids who would just be more puzzled than anything, but older adults, who they might appreciate this a little bit more. And young kids probably shouldn't be seeing this anyway. So the other thing that you kind of touched on is that you said that the more modern movies take a more modern and kind of more scary approach. And that's fair. I think that back then, Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi were doing something kind of new. Not that horror comedies didn't exist, but just this madcap silliness combined with this extreme violence and gore. It tones down. I mean, I still think the movie's scary, but it's not scary. It's not like, oh my God, what's going to happen to them? I hope they don't die. It's just like, God, these images are freaky. God, this is a crazy situation,
Yeah.
guy gets pulled into the cellar and then blood, just like fountains of blood, come spraying out. You can kind of put yourself in that role and be like, oh, that's a horrible thing that happened to him. But also, like, there's so much silliness that's come before that it's toned down a little bit. And I feel like this movie strikes a great balance at that. And we've seen a lot of movies since then that have taken that and run with it. Shaun of the Dead is the obvious example.
Oh, there have been tons, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the first one on the top of my head, but there have been hundreds of them since. But I'm not sure if there were too many before this. There were a lot of spoofs.
Yeah, right.
Not too much that was going quite this direction, quite this extreme. I don't know. Am I wrong?
No, I don't know. I mean, I don't really know the history, but this felt different and fun. I mean, there were other gory splatter movies, but you're right. It was a different balance. I think it leaned heavier into the silliness, and I like the silliness. Maybe I've just seen it. Maybe I'm too familiar with it to say that I think that it's scary, but I just feel like my experience with it from beginning to now is it's just so fun. Like,
yeah.
I'm not scared. Like, this is fun. This is like the effects, like the monsters and the deadites, like they are scary looking. They are very scary looking, and I love them. And I love the design, and I love the, prosthetics and all of that stuff. I think it's amazing. And I guess, I don't know. Well, I guess it's scary. To me, it's just more like, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's fair. And it just moves too fast to be scary. There's very little suspense in here, right? I think this is why if you ask me which is my favorite, I still tend to go back to the original, because the original had its moments of silliness, but it was definitely intended to be a little more scary, right?
Right.
And I think I liked that it's a little grittier, because it was more of a low-budget film, and there's just darkness and there's moments of tension where you don't know what's going on. But it does establish the Deadites as a bit playful, and that just gets amped up to the 100th degree in this movie. So there's a definite contrast in between the original and this one, even though they have that same through line of being quite silly at times. This one just embraces that side of it. And then Army of Darkness, I feel, is the ultimate culmination. Army of Darkness is just kind of a wacky comedy, and I find it not scary at all. So,
yeah.
It's almost like a trajectory that these three movies went in, which makes it more interesting than, like you said, now they're kind of, it's like they've crested the hill and now they're kind of turning around and going back down into scary territory.
It's funny, because I do think that Army of Darkness is really funny, too, but I think it's scarier than this one.
Yeah?
I think that deadite that he has to fight down in that pit is really scary. I think the big, evil, demony Ash is hilarious, but kind of scary. And then his girlfriend, when she becomes a deadite, is scary. I think those things are, I mean, they're all hilarious and played for comedy too, but I actually think those are scarier than this. But whatever. There's great stuff in this. I don't really know how to how do you talk about the plot? Because we've built up to the point where the first movie ends, where at the end of the first movie, we don't know what happens to him. But as we see now, he becomes possessed for a little bit, right?
Yep.
But then the sun rises and drives the evil away, which is interesting because I don't think that's ever the case again. I don't think the sunlight ever drives the deadites away in the rest of the franchise, but
no,
whatever, it does here.
That's a powerful scene because, where they ended it at the first one, you don't really know what happens. It's just kind of one of those endings where probably everybody died.
Yeah.
But here they had to contend with that in order to make it a direct continuation of the original. And I guess that made sense. I remember that scene, talking about scary, that scene where he emerges immediately from the water with the deadite face. I think that's scary.
Yeah, it is. You're right. Great prosthetic mask and
God,
the fogged out contact lenses and
oh yeah,
it looks fantastic. All of the practical effects and makeup effects they're so good. There's a reason. There are many reasons that this movie is a classic, a cult classic. It's fantastic.
Well, this isn't the first time that Ash becomes a deadite for a while. It's interesting that he kind of has to fight that too. And he just lucks out better than everybody else for some reason or another. Because later in the movie, he becomes a deadite as well. And does he in the Army of Darkness? I don't think so. I
know in Army of Darkness, I think he grows a second head or maybe splits into two different Ashes, I think. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen that one too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But there's, I took my notes on my phone just because I didn't want to get my laptop out. And so I just had this big long list. And I'm like, house face.
Yeah.
And like,
oh God. So classic.
Honestly, like every scene, I'm like, oh yeah, this classic scene, like the bridge out scene that you already talked about, and
yeah,
it's all so good.
I see. It gets at that point. Doesn't he come back to the cabin and he's just becomes tormented for a while? I mean, this is the Bruce Campbell show for the next half hour, I suppose, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Where now we've gotten through the whole prequel type stuff and, he's not a deadite anymore. He comes back into the cabin. There's the join us bit. And then it's just a series of him just being tormented and slowly going crazy. I mean, why would this guy go back to the cabin? I guess it's the only place he can find shelter because it's daytime. It's daytime now, but then it very quickly becomes night again after he left the bridge. But he looks at himself in the mirror, and that's a cool sequence where he leaps out at himself and the mirror Ash strangles the real Ash, and then we turn to him being strangled, and then the camera pulls out, and he's got his own hands around his neck. And then he's kind of doing that classic gag with the mirror where he looks at the mirror and then looks away and then looks back at the mirror again. And
yeah.
And then isn't that just about the time when the house just starts laughing at him? I mean, at this time, he's just going through a lot of physical comedy and crazy stuff happening where you're not sure what's going to happen.
There's the whole thing with Linda. Linda comes back and does her dance, and he has to fight her for a while, and that they end up in the work shed, and there's her head in the vice, and most of this is happening to him, like you said, but we also get filled in with this other little side story periodically. Apparently, the people who lived in this cabin, it was an older scientist and his wife, or they don't live there, but it's their cabin. They found the Necronomicon, and their daughter or something was with them, their adult daughter. And they brought it to the cabin so he could study it or whatever, but he read it aloud and he recorded it. That's how the evil came. We heard the recording in the first movie. I don't remember if we got all that backstory. But anyway, the point is, we see that the daughter and her boyfriend, fiance, I don't know, who cares, blonde guy, arrive, and she's got new pages, and then the stuff happens with Linda and the mirror, and yes, I thought that was a great part with the two of them fighting one another, the two hymns or whatever. And then we come back to the girl with the pages and her boyfriend, and they get to the broken down bridge, I think, and they find a tow truck driver and his girlfriend, Bobby Joe.
Yeah.
There. I was just waiting to get to them because I remembered they were in it, and I couldn't wait to get to them, and they're hilarious.
Oh my God.
I think his name is Randy. Is his name? I don't remember.
I never really quite remembered his name. Jake, the tow truck driver?
Yeah.
I think his name was Jake. Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
whatever.
am I wrong? Was he the bad guy in Intruder? He was, right?
I don't know.
I think he was.
I don't know. I've seen that movie exactly once when we did it like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think he's the one who, I just love this store.
Oh, that's funny.
Intruder, which was also co-written by Scott Spiegel, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I knew that. Yeah, so they're trying to make their way to the cabin. Meanwhile, Ash is beating himself up. His hand got possessed because he stuck it in a ghost?
No, I think his hand got possessed because Linda bit him there, right?
Okay. Well, yeah, but then there was that whole part.
Because he's fighting the Linda head for a while.
Yeah, there was that whole part, though, where there was like a rocking chair moving on its own, and he reached up and he like put his hand in it, and then he reacted like, "Whoa."
Oh, right.
I didn't know if that had anything to do with it.
I always imagined it was Linda's, because he goes through that extended, hilarious sequence where Linda's just clamped onto his right hand and she won't let go, and he's like slamming her head against everything, going outside, slamming it against the stuff before he ends up getting it in the vice, right?
Yes, all very funny, all physical comedy, as is when his hand does become possessed. This is his work here with the hand.
Oh my God,
is insane.
So good, so good.
To make it look believably as though the hand has a will of its own is amazing. And he does. Like, I totally believe that he's fighting this hand. So good.
It's so good. And apparently this one scene in the kitchen where he's smashing plates on his head and going all over the place, it's kind of a one-shot thing. He improvised all that. And Raimi ended up using the first take. Like, that's how good this guy is with his physicality. I especially love that bit where he's knocked out on the floor. And the hand wakes up and turns over, and the hand can see, apparently, and the hand can see this knife. And what a great sequence of shots. And this is classic Raimi, where he uses all these interesting camera angles to tell this sequence very well and interesting. And this hand manages to pull a knocked out unconscious Ash across the floor almost to the knife. The butcher knife. When he suddenly wakes up and stabs it himself, it's like stabs his own hand into the floor so that it stopped. And he turns and he says to it,
That's right. Who's laughing now?
Because the hand does like laugh and chirp and make noises. It's really funny. Yeah, that shot of his fingers pulling his whole body. I love that.
That's insane.
And then he saws off his hand with the chainsaw and puts it under a bucket and puts a stack of books, the top one being A Farewell to Arms, on the top of it. Hilarious.
This is your new home.
Hilarious.
Sliding across the floor behind him. I mean, it's a gag you can see coming from a mile away. It's so hilarious.
Oh, and they have so much fun. Yeah, they have so much fun with the whole hand bit for a while now, and then it keeps coming back later.
The hand gets loose and goes nuts, and now he's got a shotgun, and he's like trying to blast. It's Looney Tunes, you know? The hand goes into like freaking mouse holes in the wall, for God's sake, right? And he's trying to shoot it through the wall, and when he finally blasts one hole and some blood starts dripping out of it. He thinks he's got it, but it's just becomes a fountain of blood coming out at him. And this is just like typical Bruce Campbell torture. Any excuse that they could get to blast blood in his face throughout all these movies they've used. I got The Evil Dead Companion. It's a really great book if you're into these movies. And I don't have it on me, but I had read it cover to cover several times years ago. And I do remember them talking because it's a lot of interview back and forth between them. And these guys who worked on these movies, Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, Bob Tappert, because they grew up together, they're really playful with each other. And they kind of like torturing Bruce Campbell in these movies, and secretly off camera they really enjoyed putting him in these moments and seeing him deal with all the literal stuff they were throwing at him. And he felt like he was drowning in this sequence, though.
I was going to say it sounded awful. Yeah, it sounded like being waterboarded, because he was laying on the floor and they shot it at a 90-degree angle or whatever, so it appeared that he was standing up, and they just dumped all this Cairo syrup and stuff on him, and God, it sounds that would be torture.
It does sound horrible. I mean, it's kind of it was the classic Nightmare on Elm Street move too as well, right? But in Nightmare on Elm Street there wasn't a person's face at the other end of that torrent,
right. It looks great. Yeah, don't get me wrong at all. It looks amazing. It looks fantastic. And then that's when the house started laughing at him, and for some reason that image, the image of that
thing on the wall,
taxidermied deer head laughing at him is seared in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
And I find it both horrifying and hilarious.
Yeah.
It's comical. I mean, the laughing, it's not like sinister laughing. It's like cartoon cackling and everything. The books on the shelves, the dishes on the table are laughing at him. And it's just this cacophony of laughter and he's laughing with it, but it's driving him crazy. And he does a great job of playing crazy. So you talked before about how his performance would have required so many shots because the angle on that scene changes every second.
Yeah.
And it's shot from a bazillion different wonky angles, and he's looking directly up into camera, or it's shooting from below or from the side. Like, I can't imagine the technicality behind putting something like that together. Choreographing something like that. It's really cool.
But at the end of all this, he's been shooting at the hand. We don't really know what happened to the hand. Maybe he shot him, maybe he didn't. But he swings around and he blasts at the door because it's at this point that the rest of the party come and show up. And by this time, I think, God, the movie's got to be half over by now because so much has happened. It's just felt really long, not in a bad way, but just like, there's just so much stuff. I think we're only 40 minutes in to this hour-and-a-half long movie. We're not even halfway done by the time these guys show up. So they show up at the door, and it's what this couple, her father was the one, right? Did you already say that?
Yeah.
Her father was the one. So they show up to the party and they see him, and at some point they just
he shot at them.
Yeah. So they subdue him. Yeah, they subdue him.
Yeah.
And dump him in the cellar.
They beat the crap out of him and dump him in the cellar.
This poor guy, right? His rescuers come and
yeah, I know.
and he gets beat up and thrown in the cellar, which it turns out is the last place you want to be in this house.
Which is hilarious. This is so funny because she immediately like turns on the tape recorder and the dad starts talking again, and she's like, "Listen, it's the voice of my father." And then it starts telling the story of how he read the thing and his wife changed and she tried to kill him, and he's like,
"It's now October 1st, 4:33 p.m. Henrietta is dead. I could not bring myself to dismember her corpse, but I dragged her down the steps and I buried her. I buried her in the cellar."
Bruce Campbell
hearing all of this in the basement, and of course immediately Henrietta is the mom. And I like all of these movies. I like all of the monsters. Henrietta is my favorite of all of the Evil Dead deadites. She's so disgusting.
Yeah.
And she's played by the other Raimi brother, Ted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In a huge, like, rubber prosthetic suit that's so gross. And apparently that also was a nightmare for him. Like, I guess it was a big heat wave while they were shooting it. And I don't know, people on set, whoever it was, had to like drain the sweat out of the suit between takes, like into like styrofoam cups and stuff. Gross.
So nasty. Well, then they shot this movie on a sound, the original was actually shot pretty much on location, just 2 locations, the actual cabin, and I think it was maybe even Sam Raimi's basement or something for the other bit. But this one was shot on in a junior high school gymnasium, and they deliberately did that because Dino De Laurentiis, who ended up financing the film, had offered a studio of his, but they didn't want to be too close to him. They were afraid that they would get studio interference, so they ended up way back over in North Carolina, I think, doing this.
Yeah, I think in the same town where the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas was filmed.
Oh, is that right?
That. Oh, maybe it wasn't Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. Maybe it was... No, it wasn't. It was The Color Purple, which is another one of my favorite movies, yeah.
Oh,
and I guess one of the farmhouses that featured prominently in that movie was kind of their headquarters. That was interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I can just imagine, how much easier it would be to shoot this movie when you've constructed a set for it.
Right.
And you have all this... The original was a nightmare to shoot for everybody, and I think this shoot went a lot more smoothly just because of it, because of that alone. But you're still inside this gymnasium, you got this heat wave going on. Whereas I think they were dealing with freezing cold temperatures in the original one. This one was quite the opposite with the heat.
And poor Ted Raimi in that big, horrible suit, and he's great. He's taunting and disgusting and threatening because Henrietta is huge. And I don't know, they get him out just in time. She's reaching out from the cellar. It's it's a door in the floor cellar, like it lifts up and they can chain it. But she's like reaching out, and to get her to go back down there, I think somebody jumps on it and it kind of squashes her head and her eyeball pops out and goes into Bobby Joe's mouth. Bobby Joe is the truck driver's girlfriend.
Oh my God. Now, it's funny. I expected that to have an effect on her. I thought, she swallowed this thing. Now she's going to be the next person to turn.
Me too.
And it doesn't at all. She just swallowed this thing's eyeball. It's gross. And this head of Henrietta's by now has morphed into something else, right? It's big and it's got these huge teeth. Eventually, like, she's got this extendable neck. Henrietta transforms quite a bit.
Yeah.
Back and forth from this big rubber prosthetic suit. It's a huge combination throughout the movie of stop motion and puppetry, and she is a character. And she's the most relentless one in this whole thing. She just won't die.
And she distracts them while blonde boyfriend guy gets possessed, and then his face makeup is great too.
Oh yeah, the rows of teeth.
Yeah, it's so good. And he like floats and talks, and we get "Dead by Dawn," which is a great tagline.
Yep. And Henrietta's tagline, "I'll swallow your soul."
I'll swallow your soul. I love it.
Every horror fan knows these.
Ash, I think, axes the blonde guy, deadite, and gets like fluorescent green blood sprayed all over him. Mm-hmm. And then there's a scene that I had completely forgotten about, and I thought it was such a cool scene where it's just sharp, tight close-ups on the characters' faces, and it keeps shooting from different angles, but it's still on their faces, and their heads are all very close together. And the house starts messing with them with sound, like really loud sounds. And every time there's a new sound, it's coming from a different space. And we know that because all of their heads move quickly in perfect unison. I just thought that was such a cool scene. To get the time, I would be so interested to know how they got the timing of that. Like, were they really just reacting to sounds? Was it... I can only assume that they at least knew, it's going to be left, right, down, up, left, like...
Yeah. Well, they're probably like off-camera instructions shouted out at them. 3, 2, 1, down. 3, 2, 1, right. Maybe something like that.
I was just really impressed by how in sync it was. It felt like they were all genuinely reacting to something scary and crazy that was going on.
That's a good point because, it really just emphasizes how Raimi had a vision for this. You cannot put together something like this madcap just by improvising everything and running around and trying out different things. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure that, you have ideas on set. In the editing room, you find out this works, this doesn't. Oh, there's this happy accident that we can put these two shots together, or, something happened here we weren't expecting, but we can kind of use that. But ultimately, this script that Spiegel put together didn't have this degree of detail in it. This visual stuff. Like, they stand there and the house makes noises, is probably what's in the script.
Right.
But you've got to flesh all that out in your head. You have to figure out how to shoot it. And this is this guy's third movie at this point, and he's all very self-taught, just growing up making these Super 8s. I shouldn't say I don't think he gets enough credit. I think Raimi gets all the credit for being this innovative filmmaker who very quickly figured out a visual style that works for him. And it's evident in the first movie. I remember reading in that book that people were just shocked on set. Campbell was like, it was like a different person in front of me all of a sudden. I was just shocked at all these ideas he was coming up with. Like, we're going to slide the camera along on the floor. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And he's like, man, the creativity coming out of this dude that he grew up with, was shocking even to him. So all these little things, like you mentioned, they might not seem big, but they're hard to pull off. You have to have a real vision and idea for it in order to make it happen.
Right. One could argue that he kind of throws everything but the kitchen sink in the movie, too, because then there's a scene where I guess it's the ghost of the science dad shows up, and he looks like Pazuzu from The Exorcist.
He looks exactly like Pazuzu.
And he talks to her, and I still don't know if that was really supposed to be her dad,
right?
Or if it was just the house messing with them, but he's like, save my soul! Like,
I think, in retrospect, it is the house messing with them, because ultimately, I think the house wants them to read the passages from the book.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
They think that they're going to save her father by reading the passages from the book. But actually, ultimately, that's going to be a bad thing for them to do. It always is, actually. You don't read out loud from the Necronomicon. That is the one thing that all of us should take away from all these movies. It's a cautionary tale.
Yeah, and it's a hilarious through line because they should know after the first movie, never do it, and then Ash continues to do it throughout the whole rest of his story. It's pretty funny.
I have to admit, seeing that floating ghost face of Pazuzu, the second thing I thought of was The Evil. You remember that one?
Vaguely.
Those people are in that big mansion, and suddenly there's these like classic ghostly characters walking around. It's a little
vaguely.
She runs out.
Well, yeah. She runs out. Yeah. Bobby Joe, the hand reappears. After that sound, I think it's after that sound scene. They're all just kind of standing there in shock, or after the ghost scene, I guess. And she says, "Truck driver, you're holding my hand too tight." And he's like, "I'm not holding your hand." And she looks down, and it's the evil Ash hand.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look like his. It's a little like the stump is a little longer. I thought either the prosthetics not the same, or did he chop off one of Henrietta's hands at some point?
Oh, has he yet? He does eventually.
I mean, there was so much going on there. I'm not quite sure, but the arm, it almost looks like a half an arm more than a hand. I don't know.
I think it was supposed to be his hand because Henrietta's still around. She's still in the cellar. I don't think she's gotten chopped up yet. She does eventually. I think it's his hand. Anyway, whatever. It doesn't matter. The lights go out for a second, and Bobby Joe, is so scared by this that she runs into the woods. And I was nervous about this part.
Right? Because of the original.
Well, yeah, and because whenever I think of it, in my head, it's called the tree rape scene.
Yeah.
And the first thing that I noticed was that, wait a minute, she's wearing pants. And I don't remember them, like, ripping her clothes off. Maybe they do. I don't know. I was just remembering the similar scene from the first one, which is much darker, and I prefer this one. The one in the original is a little much for me.
It's I think everybody feels like that's a bit of a problematic scene. In a series that doesn't tend to go there. Right? Like, there's generally no nudity in these movies. There's not a lot of those trappings of horror that you expect with the nude scenes and some serious brutality and sexual stuff getting thrown in. And so the tree thing from the original always feels a little off.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I'm not offended by it or anything. It's just, I don't care for it.
Well, it just feels off. Yeah.
Yeah. The girl, I don't know her name, the daughter reads from something, her dad's notes or something, and reads that there are two passages, and the first passage makes a physical manifestation of the evil or whatever, and Ash is like, well, let's not do that then. But then the second one opens a portal that'll take it away. I don't know. It just opens a portal. I don't know.
Something like that.
So they've got these pages that they can read or whatever, but Randy is worried about... Randy, I don't know if that's his name. Truck driver is...
Jake.
Truck driver is worried about Bobby Joe. And so he makes them go outside to look for her. And they really just basically get outside. And he stands out there shouting her name. And we see the, evil point of view fast through the woods coming at them. And right before it gets them, he knocks out Ash, because Ash is trying to get him to shut up or something, and he pushes the woman to the ground. And you think that the evil's going to hit him and something happens, because that's what it looks like is going to happen, but just as it should get to him, everything just goes quiet, and he's just standing there for a second until Deadite Ash pops up behind him.
Yeah.
And then he chases them around the cabin for a while. I mean, there's a lot that goes on.
I mean... I think in the original, and there just don't seem to be reasons why people get possessed anymore. Like, what is the thing? Like, I don't know how the boyfriend suddenly got possessed, except the Deadites just decided he was next.
Yeah.
The same thing with Evil Ash. There's really no inciting incident that you can point to that's like, okay, now Ash is going to turn evil. He just does. Unless I missed something. Did I? I don't think so.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to think about how they carry the mythology moving forward, because I don't think, like, you have to die to become one of them or anything.
No, because even in the first one, that girl, when they're playing cards, when they're flipping the cards, the one girl suddenly is possessed.
I guess it's just kind of if they get a hold of you. I don't know.
Well, I guess.
I don't know. He's chasing them around the cabin. She has a huge bone dagger from somewhere. I missed where that.
Where did that come from? It was on the table, maybe. I mean, it was a big part of the original, but this one it's retooled in this one as well. It looks more like a spine than a dagger.
Yeah, and it just shows up, and she accidentally stabs Randy through the chest with it, and then slams his body in the door. He's still alive. It goes a good foot into his chest, but he's okay. He can't breathe, but he's all right. But she drags him into the house, and Henrietta, in a great jump scare, I thought, pops up her cellar door and grabs him and pulls him down into the cellar. And the girl tries to grab his legs and pull him out, but blood just starts spraying out of the whole thing. It's a great scene.
It is a great scene. I know you keep calling him Randy. Poor Jake. This guy really got a bum deal with this whole thing.
Yeah.
But then I think Bruce shows back up again, and he's normal, and I just love this bit because
the way I was just going to say, the way that he attacks her, the evil Ash comes in and attacks her, and then this is it's corny, but I don't care. I like I said, I like the silliness. He sees Linda's necklace that he had given her.
Right.
And it seems like it's kind of implied, and this happens again, I think, in Army of Darkness and later. Sometimes something can inspire him, the good Ash in him, to like fight his way out.
Right.
And that kind of seems like that's what happened here. I think that there was a deleted scene where we saw more of that, like his face transformation going back, but it's cut and gone forever. So anyway, you're right. He's back. He's good now.
He's good now, but he's got to convince her, and I don't blame her. You know, she's freaking out, and I think this scene is so funny because he's just yelling at her.
No, wait! Listen to me! I'm all right now. That thing is gone. Damn it! I said I was all right. Are you listening to me? Do you hear what I'm saying? I'm all right.
And he almost sounds crazy when he's yelling it. I don't know if I would believe him either if I were her, but she does.
It's just, she attacks him like 2 or 3 times, though.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
She's scared.
It's very
He's
funny.
Frustrated. It's so funny how the deadites just turn people on each other and create these situations. I love it. I love it.
When he finally does convince her, she says, we need the pages from the cellar because Randy threw them down there. And so Ash goes out to the shed or whatever and clamps the chainsaw to his arm and arms himself with the big shotgun and, close up on his face. Groovy.
Oh, iconic.
It's great. It's fantastic. And he goes down into the cellar and he fights Henrietta and he gets the pages, and then Henrietta gets out and she attacks her daughter and she turns into that weird snake bird thing. Yeah. And Ash cuts her up, and this is the part, like, he chops her head off, but he also, I think, chops off her arms and legs, like limbs are flying.
It's a huge mess. This whole place is a mess by this time. Oh, and then
Right.
and then at the end, like, he's got Henrietta's head is still talking on the ground. I'll swallow your soul. I'll swallow your soul. And he puts his head on it, aims the gun, and it's like, swallow this.
I love it. It's so great. It's just so good. It's such a good movie.
But at that point, this is where finally Ash has transformed into badass Ash.
Right.
As soon as he blasts her head, there's just this scene that pulls back and it's looking up at him, and he's got his no-nonsense face and a hero pose, and you're like, okay, this guy is new.
Yeah.
He's in control now, or at least he thinks he is.
Right. Well, he's had a little bit of experience. Yeah, he's good. At this point, a tree that has uprooted itself from the front yard now attacks the cabin.
It's so crazy.
It's crazy, but it looks really good. I mean,
It really does.
I love it. It looks
Oh, my
good.
God.
The exterior shots look good. I have no idea what's going on there. What do you think that is? Models? Stop motion, probably?
Oh, man, I think some of it's models. Maybe not stop motion because it's a little too smooth, but there might be some mixed in there. But then when you get inside, they're literally these giant arms and limbs and things coming in. It's big, practical stuff, including that giant face that ends up showing up.
Yeah,
right?
and the whole set appears to be shaking.
Oh.
And yeah, so the girl starts reading from the passage, but then she gets attacked by her mom or somebody, I don't know. And she's like, I only read the first passage. So the big evil face comes through the front door, and it's huge. It's enormous, and of course it's all practical and real. I mean, this thing was so big that they couldn't even take it with them when they left. Like, man, and it looks great, and it's shot well. I think he does a really good job of shooting it so that you never see too much of it all at the same time.
Mm-hmm. It's a little obscured sometimes by other things, but
yeah, right.
It holds up, I think.
I think so too.
This is one of those things that I think holds up. Yeah. And the camera also, he's doing that warped thing with the lens, so the image itself is kind of compressing and expanding a little bit from shot to shot, almost it preparing us for this whole portal thing.
Right.
Oh, it's so good.
Because with her dying breath, she reads the second incantation or whatever it is, and the portal opens, and it's just a big vortex that sucks everything in. But For some reason, this is... Why do the deadites start chanting, "We've won, we've won"? Is it because the big evil is about to eat Ash? Is that...
I don't know. I don't remember that bit. They were chanting that?
Yeah. Anyway, whatever. But the portal opens and it sucks the evil thing out, and Ash is like, "Whew, that was close." and then the front door gets sucked away, and the portal's still a-sucking, and it sucks him in there.
It's still a-sucking.
Yeah, him and his car get sucked in there. And they land in what appears to be medieval times. Not the restaurant, but the actual... And he's surrounded by knights, and at first they think he's a deadite and they're gonna kill him, but then a flying deadite flies in and they all cower in fear, and he gets up and blows its head off with his shotgun, and they're all like, "Our hero!" You know, they all start cheering for him or whatever, and he just looks around at this, you know, desert castle, is like, "No!"
Yeah, our hero who's here to vanquish the deadites and save our land.
Right.
No, I think this is Sam Raimi who says that, right? Who pops his thing up and cheers.
Maybe, I don't know.
It is, yeah, it is him. It was cool because I think when the original sequel plan was to do the Evil Dead and the Army of Darkness, and this was mostly going to be the medieval thing, but they didn't really have the budget for that, and so they had to shelve that and make this a transition movie to take us into that. And I think the success of this movie then made Army of Darkness more likely to happen, although it didn't happen for a little while. Because the careers, got big, I think. For the people involved, so... Yeah, I think that was a good choice, though. I love this as a transition movie, and I think this movie is just wonderful. And like I said, it really sets up the badass Ash, because what we get in the third movie is a fully transformed, cocky Ash. And that would have been a jarring switch if it weren't for what he goes through in this movie and the transformation that he makes.
That's true. Yeah.
So, it really made, I think, the third movie probably better than it would have been otherwise. Well, what more can you say? There's a lot more you could say about these movies, but, they've already been said. And I just love them. I love Evil Dead 2. I can't believe we still haven't done the first one on this show. And we haven't done Army of Darkness. We'll eventually get to it.
The series was great, too.
It wasn't. I haven't really seen it. I saw 1 or 2 episodes, and I thought this is something I'm going to want to sit down and binge, and I never got around to it.
It's available again. It disappeared. You couldn't stream it. You couldn't buy it anywhere for a while, but I saw recently that it is available again somewhere. I'm sure you could find it if you wanted to, but other people out there, it is available somewhere for streaming. But no, cool. Yeah, I love this movie too. This one especially. This one is my favorite one. Nostalgia plays a big part, but even watching it again, I was still laughing out loud at gags and jokes that I've seen a million times. I was still reveling in the fun of it. It's just, to me, it's just so much fun. And that, of course, I like the horror elements of it, and that's what brought me to the movie. But I think my favorite part of it is the humor, and specifically Bruce Campbell. But it takes a whole team to put something like this together, and this is a team of people who clearly respected one another, respected one another's vision, had a good time and played with one another and tried things. And it's just cool that they were friends, and that Scott Spiegel was part of that. And that, though, like you said, he did bit parts in movies all the time, and he was in probably most, if not all, of Sam Raimi's movies, and worked with Ted Raimi and all of the rest of them too, and remained friends with all of those guys. And I remember when he passed, seeing comments and things from these folks. I think that they had a genuine friendship, and it's what a gift to be able to do what you love and create with your friends and be successful and be able to watch your friends enjoy tremendous success. It's really cool, and he was part of something really special.
Yeah, he really was. Thank you guys for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please share it with a friend. You can find us online, chainsawhorror.com, or Google Two Guys and a Chainsaw Podcast, and you'll find all of our socials out there. Drop us a note. Let us know what your favorite movie in the Evil Dead series is, and if you've seen the TV show. You can also join our patron page at patreon.com/chainsawpodcast, and we have a lot of good conversations back there. We have a book club. We have access to our complete unedited episodes. We do mini-sodes, as Craig referenced earlier. Only $5 a month gets you access to all that stuff. Please consider joining. We love hearing from you, whether you're a patron or not. Send us your requests, please. Until next time, I'm Todd.
And I'm Craig.
With Two Guys and a Chainsaw.